Hello everyone, welcome back to our Python programming course. I hope all of you are doing well and that you have practiced programs from your previous lecture. If you haven't practiced yet, don't worry. After today's class, go back and try the previous examples because programming is a practice skill. The more you practice, the more confident you will become. So let's see guys, in the today's class we are going to learn one of the most important concepts in Python, that is variables. Before I explain what a variable, let me ask a simple question. Suppose I ask to remember your name, your age and your college name. Where will you store all this information? You will probably write in a notebook or save in your phone so you do not forget it. In the same way, when you write a Python program, we also need a place to store information like names, numbers, marks, or messages. That place is called as a variable. So remember this definition. A variable is a name used to store data in a computer memory. Now let us understand with a simple example. Name is equal to Shankar. Let's see carefully at this line. On the left side we have name. Okay, this is variable name. On the right side we have Shankar. This is value stored inside the variable. Okay, when the Python executes this line, it creates a variable called name and stores the value Shankar in memory. Think of a variable like a labeled box. The label on the box is name and inside the box we keep Shankar. Okay, this makes it easier for us to use like the value later in our program. Now let us store more information. A is equal to 19 and college is equal to Aditya. Okay, now we have created three different variables. The first variable stores the person names and second variable stores the age and third college name. Each variable stores different types of information. Now you might be wondering, sir, how can I see the value stored inside the variables? That's a very good question. We use the print function for that. Whenever we want the output, we use the print function and type this print out for output. Print name, print is. Next print college. Now run the program. The output will be Shankar and age 19 and the college name is Aditya. Did you notice something from here? We stored the values only once, but we were able to use them multiple times. That's the biggest advantage of the variable. Instead of writing same value again and again, we stored in a variable and use variable whenever we need. Let me ask another question. What happens if value that changes? For example, suppose next year your age becomes 20. Do we need to create a new variable? No. We simply update the value. Okay. Now try this. Delete this all. Age equal to suppose for example 20. And print the output to use print function. Print age. The output will be the 20. This time the output will be the 20. Python automatically update the values of the variable. That is the one of the reason why variables are so useful. They allow us to use to store information and update whenever we need it. Now let us take one more real life example. Imagine you are creating a student management system. You need to store that student's name, roll number, marks, and city. Okay, let's create a variable for these values. Delete this. Student name, for example, Rahul. Okay, and student roll number and marks is equal 95 and city is equal to Hyderabad. Okay, now print the output from print student name and print roll number, print the marks and print the city. If you can identify which variable stores the student name, yes, student's name. Which variable store the marks? Correct, it's marks. That is exactly you can so run the output. You will get see the Rahul from here. That is the exactly how variables are used in real world programs. Let us revision before ending the today's lecture. Let quickly revise. What is a variable? A variable is a name used to store data. And why do you use variable? We use variables to store information so that we can use or update in later in the program. So how do you create a variable? We use we simply write the name followed by the equal signs and then assign a value. So now you are learning naming variables in Python. Rules for naming variables in Python. So let's run each rule one by one. Rule number one. A variable names must start with a letter or an underscore. See rule number one. A variable name must start with a letter or an underscore. Okay. So see for example, So, okay, whenever you create a variable, the first character should be either a letter or an underscore. Okay, let's see an example. Name equal to Shankar and age equal to 19 like previous. And see example underscore city Hyderabad. So now you can print the function print name. So it is okay. And print the age and print the city. Okay, look carefully. The variable name starts with a letter and the variable age start with a letter A and the variable city start with underscore. Let's see carefully. All these variables names are correct. Now let me show a incorrect example. See, incorrect example I'm saying one. mm, This is the incorrect example. Can you guess what will happen if you one run this program? Yes, Python will show the error. See, let's run the program. See, this is the error because variable name cannot start with a number. Always remember this rule. Variables can contain numbers, but they cannot begin with a number. So this is the rule number one. So rule number two, never use spaces. Now let's run the second rule. Suppose I write the variable like this. Let this student name is equal to Rahul. Okay, look carefully. There is a space between student and name. Do you think Python will accept this? No. Python treats the space as the end of the word on the beginning of the another. Okay, so it gives an error. Instead of using spaces, we use an underscore. Suppose for run this program, this shows an error. See, okay, okay, invalid syntax. Okay, now let us try this. And instead of student and name, you can put underscore. So now let's run the program. Delete this. Now let's run the program. So this is the correct way. Whenever your variable has two or more words, always use an underscore. So this is the rule number two. Rule number three. Variable names are case sensitive. Now let us understand another interesting rule. Look at these two variables. Remove this. Name equal to Rahul and the name equal to Shankar. Now print function, you print name and print name. Now run the program. Now run the program. Okay. Did you notice something from here? Both variables have different values. Why? Because Python treats name and name as two different variables. The small letter n and the capital letter capital N, not the same. So always be careful while typing variable names. Be careful for that. This is the rule number 3. So rule number 4. Don't use Python keywords. Python already has some reserved words. For example, if, else, for, while, class, return. These words already have a special meaning in Python, so we should never use them as a variable names. Let me show. Remove this. If equal to 10. Students, can you guess what will happen from here? Python will show error. Suppose run the program will show error. Okay. Instead choose meaningful name like remove this marks. This is the correct. Okay. This is the rule number 4. Now let's see the rule number 5. Use meaningful variables names. Okay. Imagine you write a program like this. A equal to Rahul. Okay. B equal to 20 and C equal to 95. After 1 month, will you remember what ABC mean? Instead, write your variables like this. Okay, like variables like this. Student name is equal to. Now you can like this. You remove ABC. Student name. Okay, student is and remove this student. Okay. Which program look easier to understand? Of course, second one. So that's why professional programs always use meaningful variables names. Okay. For small practice, now let's your turn. Pause this video. Create 5 variables. Store your name and your age, city, your favorite subject. So your programming language. After creating them, print all the variables. Take 2 minutes and try it yourself. I will wait for that. Okay. I hope all of you are complete the practice. If you made any mistakes, don't worry. Making mistakes is completely normal while learning the Python program. The important thing is to understand the error and correct it. So students, let's quickly revise. We learn the rules from the naming variables. Rule number 1 is A variable should start with a letter or an underscore. Rule number 2, never use space. Rule number 3, Python is a case sensitive, like uppercase and lowercase. Rule number 4, never use Python keywords as a variable names. And the rule number 5, always use meaningful variable names. Okay, this is the 5 rules for using variable names. Now let's see the data types. So what is data type? So before writing any program, we should know what type of data we are storing. For example, your name is text and your age is a number and your height may contain the decimal number. Okay, and sometimes we store only true or false. All these different kinds of values are called the data types. Okay, so remember this definition. A data type tells Python what kind of value is stored inside a variable. Okay, a data types. So data type tells Python what kind of value is stored inside a variable. Okay, remember this definition. So why do we need data types? Now let me ask you another question. Suppose add I ask to you add 10 plus 20. Can the computer do it? Yes. Now suppose I ask you add Rahul plus Shankar. Will the output will be 30? No. Instead Python joins two words together. Okay. Why does this happen? Because numbers and text are different kinds of data. That's why Python needs data types. So the first data type is integer. Simply we can write as int. Now let's write the first data type. A integer means whole number. Whole number do not have decimal points. So like for example 10, 20, 30, 31. For example like 500. These are the whole numbers. And these are the all integers. And for example minus 89. Sorry, minus 89. Sure. Minus 89. All these are the integers. Let's create a integer variable. A is equal to 9. Now print the A's. Okay, so I print. Now print the A's. Run the program. Now we see the output from 90. Okay. Since 19 is a whole number, Python automatically treats it as an integer. Now let us check its data type. Okay. Remove this print. Now let's check the print type of is. Now let's check its data type. Run the program. Now it see the integer. Okay. This output tells us variable is belongs to the integer data type. Very simple. Okay. Now let's see the another data type, float data type. Okay. It is called float whenever a number contains a decimal point. It becomes a float. For example, 95.5 or 10.75 or 7.8. So all these are the decimal numbers. Let's see it practically. So type this percentage. So let's see percentage percentage is equal to 95.5 and print the function print percentage. Okay, print type of like previous I see now. Let's print percentage. Okay, let's run the program. Delete this previous and run the program. Okay, the output will be the 95.5 and the data type is float. Because the value contains a decimal point, okay, Python identifies it as a float. Okay, now let's see the another data type that is string. Okay, you know this. Let's see string data type, one of the most commonly used data type. Okay, whenever we store text, words, names, or sentences, we use a string. A string is always written inside single quotes or double quotes. Now let's see an example. Name equal to name equal to Shankar. Okay, and college equal to Aditya. And print the name and print college and print which type of data type. Print type of name. Now run the program. We will see the output name Shankar and college Aditya. So which data type? String data type. Okay. The values are inside double quotes. Okay. Whenever Python see text inside quotation marks, it understands that is a string like double quotes or single quotes. Okay. Now let's see the another data type that is Boolean data type. Another interesting data type that is Boolean data type. Boolean has two values, true and false. Let's create a Boolean value and type this is student equal to true and print is student. Print which data type of is student. Okay. Now let's run the program. You'll see the output true and data type is Boolean type. Boolean values are mostly used in decision making. For example, if the student present, Yes or no. If the is the password correct? Yes or no. True or false? Sorry, true or false. If the password correct? True or false. These situations use boolean values. Now let's see the practice. Pause this video and create four variables. Store your age as an integer. Store your percentage as a float and store your name as a string. Store whether you are a student or as a boolean. Okay. Then print all the variables and also print their data types using the type function. Take a few minutes to try it yourself. I will wait for that. Okay. I hope you completed the activity. If you got any errors, don't worry. Errors are normal part of the learning programming. Okay. So let's quickly revise uh, what a data type is. We learn why data types are important. We learn four basic data types. There are int for whole numbers, float for decimal numbers, and string for text, and boolean for true or false. Okay, these are the data types. Now let's see the type conversion. Before I explain the concept, let me ask you a simple question. Suppose someone gives you the number 25, for example. Can you add 10 to it? Of course. Now imagine someone gives you 25 inside the quotation marks. Can you Python treat it like a number? Think about it for a few seconds. Then no. Because when we write 25 without quotation marks, Python treats it as a number. But when we write 25 inside quotation marks, Python treats it as a string. So sometimes we need to convert one data type into another data type. So this process is called as the type conversion. So remember this definition. Type conversion is the process of converting one data type into another data type. So why do we need type conversion? You might be thinking, why you need this? Imagine you are building a student application. The student enters is his, the computer receives the value as a text. But you want to perform a calculation. Can you calculate using text? No, it is not possible. First, you convert the text into a number, then you perform the calculation. That is the one of the most common use of type conversion. So now let us see the first type, string to integer. Our first example, clear this and let a is equal to 20. Okay, print is and print type of is. Now let's run the program. Look at the output carefully. The value is 20, but the data type is string. Now let convert it to an integer. Okay. See, now let it convert it integer. A is equal to 20 and A is equal to int s print type of s. Okay. Now let's run the program. Remove this part. No. Int is print yes. Remove this part. Okay. Now let's run the program. Okay. The output with 20 and the data type is integer. Can you see the difference? The value is still 20, but now Python treat it an integer instead of a string. Okay. Now let's see the integer to float. Now let's see the integer to float. Delete this and okay. Marks is equal to 90 and print type of marks equal to float marks and print type of marks. Print marks. Okay. Now let's run the program. The output will be this class int and float. Okay. Notice that Python added a decimal point automatically. Okay. Now let's see the another example from float to integer. Now let's see the float to integer. Remove this. Now float to integer. Percentage equal to 92.0. Print percentage okay. Percentage equal to int int teaser print percentage okay print percentage okay. Now let's run the program. Did you notice something interesting from here? The output will be 92. Okay. Sorry. 8. Now let's run the program again. Okay. The decimal part is Python does not round the number. It simply removes everything after the decimal point. That is very important point to remember. Okay. Now let's convert number to the string. Now let's convert number to the string. Roll number is equal to roll number. For example, roll number is equal to 101. Next, print type roll number. Okay, print type of roll number. Okay, now let's run the program. Earlier the value was an integer. Okay, after using str function, Python converted into a string. This is useful whenever we want to combine text with numbers. Okay, students can make common mistakes. Now let me show you one of the common mistakes that you beginners make. Okay, now let's see. Let's common mistake. A is equal to, for example, 90. Okay, now print A is plus 5. Now ask, can anyone guess the output? Come here. Let's run it. It shows an error. Why? Because you cannot directly add a string and an integer. Now what's the solution? Convert the string into an integer first. Okay. Now type this integer. Remove this is okay. Now is equal to int or yes. Okay. Now let's run the program. Okay, the output will be the 25, 24. Okay, now let's practice the pause this video and try these activities. I am giving the 4 questions. Okay, create a string 50 and convert into an integer. Okay, the second is create an integer 75 and convert into a float. Okay, create a float 45.8 and convert into an integer. Okay, print the data type before and after conversion. Take 3 to 5 minutes and try it yourself before watching this video. Okay, before watching the solution. Okay, guys, remember that programming is learned by writing code, not just by watching videos. It is not possible. Okay, let's quickly revise. We understood the why type conversion is important and what type conversion is. Okay, we learn how to use int function, float function, string function. We also learn how to check the data type using the type function, and finally we saw a common beginner mistake and learn how to fix. Okay, now let us see the input functions in Python. Okay, so first of all, why do you need the input function? Before I explain the input function, let me ask a simple question. Suppose I write a program like this. Uh, name, sorry, name equal to Rahul and print the name. Okay, now let's run the program. So you can see the output is Rahul. Okay, Let me ask you another question. What if another student want to use the same program? Will the output change automatically? No, it is not possible. It will wait still display Rahul because we fixed the value inside the program. But what if you want to user to enter their own name? Can Python ask the user for input? Yes, that's exactly why we use the input function. Now let's see the what is input function. So remember this definition. The input function is used to take input from the user while the program is running. I am repeating again. The input function is used to take input from the user while the program is running. In the simple words, instead of giving values ourselves, we ask the user to enter the value. Okay, now let's see how it works. First, for example, example, type this input, enter your name. Okay, now let us understand the line carefully. Here we are using the input function. Instead the brackets we write written. Okay, inside the brackets we have written enter your name. This message is shown to the user. When the program runs, Python waits. Okay, it doesn't continue until the user type something. Okay, suppose I type Shankar, then Python stores Shankar inside the variable called name. Okay, then finally print function displays the value. Okay. Uh, okay, now let us take the another example, taking A's. Now A's, print the A's. Now let's run the program. No, enter. Sorry, yeah, you can see enter here. Now let's run the program. You will see the okay. But there is one small problem here. Can anyone guess it? Think for a few seconds. The A's look like a number, but Python actually stores it as a string. Okay, let's verify it. Now print type of A's. Okay, now let's run it. Achha, delete this. Now let's run the program. Okay, did you notice something from here? Even though we entered 19 stored it has a string. This is very important point. The input function always return data as a string. Okay, remember this for interviews, exams, and programming practice. Now let us converting input into integer. Now suppose we want to add 5 years to the user age. Can we directly do it? Let's try. Let's try it. Age equal to input, enter your age. Okay. Print age plus 5. Now let's run it. Okay. Oops. Python gives an error. Maybe it will take wrong from here. Okay. Because age is a string. We cannot add an integer to a string. No, it gives an error because it is wrong. It was showing wrong. It gives an error, but it was showing enter your age. Okay. We cannot add an integer to a string. It is not possible. It gives an error. So what we should do? Verify, convert the input into an integer. Okay. Now let's see input int. Now int. Okay. You can add from bracket form. Now let's see the output from here. Now a. So suppose the user enters 20. The output will be the 25. Okay. So here notice something from here. We converted the input in an integer before storing it. So let's see the some practice. So now let's to pass the video. Write a program that asks the user to enter their name, their age, their city. After taking the input, print all these values. Print all three values and try it yourself. Don't copy from the screen immediately. Programming becomes easy only when you practice. So I'll give you time for that. Okay. If you made any mistakes, don't worry. Every programmer make mistakes while running. It is very common. Don't worry. Okay. So let's quickly revise what the input function is. We learn why we use it, and we wrote programs to take username and age as a input. And we also learned that input function always written a string. And finally, we'll learn how to convert the input and integer using the in function. Okay. Now let's see the output functions. So students, whenever we write a program, we need see the result on the screen. Suppose you calculate the sum of two numbers. If Python doesn't display the answer, how will we know whether your program is correct? That's why Python provides the print function. Okay, the definition is print function is used to display output on the screen. For example, print welcome, welcome to Python programming. Programming. Okay, Okay, notice that sentence is inside quotation marks. Okay, whenever we print the text, we must write inside single or double quotation marks. Okay, if you forgot quotation marks from here, Python will give an error. Okay, let's run the program. So now let's run the program. So output will be the welcome to the Python programming. So for example, you can print, second example, print the numbers. Print 100 and print 95.5. Did you notice something from here? Did you notice something here? We didn't use quotation marks. Why? Because these numbers are not text. Okay, now let's run the program. Okay, so next printing the variables. Next example, printing the variables. Name equal to center, age equal to 19. Now let's print the function output. Print name and print age. Okay, what what will happen if I change the value of the variable? Okay, let's see. So type this, uh, remove this. So now let's run it. So prints. Okay, so this is the output functions. So before we ending today's class, let us spend the next five. Okay, students revision is very important because it helps us remember the concepts for a long time. So I request everyone to listen carefully. Let's begin our quick recap. Today we started by learning about variables. Do you remember what a variable is? A variable is a simple a name used to store in the computer memory. For example, if you want to store our name, age, marks, or city, we use variables. Let's quickly an example. Age equal to 90. Now print name and print yes. Students here name and age are variables and they store different kinds of information. Okay. After that we learn the rules for naming variables. Okay. A variable should always start with a letter or an underscore. This is a rule number one. Rule number two, a variable should never start with a number. Spaces under the rule number three, spaces are not allowed in a variable names. And Python keywords like if, for, while, and class cannot be used as a variable names. And finally, always use meaningful variable names because they make your program easier to read and understand. Okay, for example, student underscore name is much better than simply writing a or x. You know, next we learn the data types. Okay, Data types tells Python what kind of values is stored inside a variable. Okay, we discussed four important data types. There are, for example, integer, float, string. So integer example is 19, for example, and the float example 95.5, and the string, for example, name equal to double quotient. And finally, we learned Boolean data types, which stores any two values like true or false. Okay, and we learned type conversions. Sometimes Python stores data as a string, but we need it as a number. In that situations, stored as a string, but we need it as a number. Okay. Similarly, we cannot convert value using the float and string functions. Remember this point because you will use it frequently in the Python programs. And the next we learn input functions. Can anyone tell me what is input function is used for? Okay, the input function is used to take input from the user while the program is running. Let's quickly see an example. Okay, name equal to input and enter your name. Print name. Students always remember one important point. Input function always written as a string. If you want to perform a mathematical calculations, convert the input into an integer or float first. Okay, and finally we learn about the print functions, and it is used to display on the output on the screen. Okay, okay guys, that's all of today's class. Thank you so much for joining this lecture and learning with me. If you found this lecture helpful, make sure you continue practicing every day. Consistency is the key to become a good programmer. Okay, take care and keep coding, keep learning, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.